Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often, we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in our amazing universe. And you're listening to another episode on the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And as you could see, I am not in my office, I'm on the road. So today's destination is Spearfish, South Dakota. Never been to South Dakota, so it's another check on my bucket list. And spending some time in the Black Hills of South Dakota. And there's a lot of culture and a lot of heritage, a lot of Native American heritage here and a lot of history. So I'm really looking forward to explore. And I felt that this was going to be the perfect segue into the topic of today's episode, which is creating sacred spaces in nature and whispers of wisdom. You know, how often we hear about these amazing places in our world where maybe there's been a miracle, a healing, or it just feels so uplifting just being in the presence of wherever this place is that it just draws people to it. So, you know, when we look at those things, we it's all like individualized and personalized. What's going to resonate with one person may not have no effect on somebody else. So this is where it's really important to just check in with yourself and just, you know, where you feel where you're feeling like you're leaning in to really lean in and to go to those places that have kind of piqued your curiosity, or there's something about that that you need to or want to explore. So for me right now is like I'm here in South Dakota as I was sharing, but for me there is the White Buffalo Calf Woman is one of my guides, and she's always been a presence with me, especially when I was going through very turbulent times, and just really assessing, you know, my personal growth and taking myself to the next level. It's like sometimes we get new guides come in and others leave that are going to be more aligned with where you're going. I learned so much and gained so much wisdom from being in meditation with her and the beautiful innate gifts that she presented to me that I felt in my heart that I really wanted to pay her reverence and honor her by being in her native land, basically, where she was the prophet that came to the indigenous people to offer them hope and inspiration and teach them ways of living that would be assistive to them for their uh, tribe's survival and their ability to thrive. So here we are, and I'm connecting with her here as we are right now. So I just want to say one thing about what makes spaces in nature so sacred. You know, sometimes it's just the captivating things that I feel it's extremely personal, and each one of us just knows what we're related to and what we're connected to and what we have a tendency to lean into. And I just encourage you to follow that. Sometimes it could be things in nature like towering mountains or a beautiful waterfall, or it could be, you know, a sense of awe that creates a sense of awe and humility, realizing that, you know, we are so much smaller than we think we are in comparison to what's surrounding us. I remember about 35, 36 years ago witnessing the Grand Canyon for the first time. For me, it was like when you looked over the edge, there were no pictures that could capture the essence and the view that I was seeing and the experience that I was having. It was just like I knew that I was just a minuscule person in this big cosmic world, but yet we have the capability of making a huge difference by the ripple effect. So for me, I knew in that moment when I was at the Grand Canyon, even though it was a brief visit, that I would be there, be returning there numerous times because I just knew that I needed to explore this wonder of the world. And in the 36 years since that time, I've been back there numerous times doing numerous things and also enjoying it during different seasons of the year as well. So I know that my audience here has probably had something very similar happen, or there's something completely different, something with connection to something larger. I mean, I feel for me that was a huge experience with that. I'm going to reiterate this. It's just like I felt like I was such a small presence, but I was greatly connected to something more vast than I could ever imagine. Sometimes there's historical significance that create sacred spaces in nature. Sometimes if there's been multiple battles over the years and times, that energy kind of gets implanted and stays into the land. And sometimes if you're a sensitive or you're an empath, you could feel the energy of what had transpired in that area maybe thousands of years ago. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And sometimes it's just a personal connection. You become where maybe you've had a profound spiritual experience wherever you've been, and that becomes your own sacred space in nature where you continue to return to tap into those essences. What I find very interesting too is that, did you know that once you've been to a place, energetically you could continually tap into that? I bet you didn't know that, but it's very true. What you do is you tap into that energy and that essence of what you're feeling, and you're just recreating it. And it's almost as if when you think about it, you could just step right into that and be right in that moment when you experience that feeling. A lot of times, people think, oh, I have to travel to this place to get a dose of that. Not necessarily so. You have that capability, believe it or not, just to tap into the essence of what you experienced so that you could actually step into that again. So that takes things a step further because we have a tendency to focus on the negative things and we continually step into those. So this is a plot twist, and let's focus on those beautiful places that we've been and just connect with the essence of that so you're right there right now. So, these are just some of the reasons that why people find sacred places in nature sacred. And sometimes there's sacred places in the world that hold a very deep spiritual or deep meaning connection. And there's places all over the world. Some examples are like Mount Kailash in Tibet, and it's a pilgrimage destination for adherents of four religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Bon, and Jainism. Mount Kailash is a reverend as the abode of Shiva in Hinduism, the center of the world in some Buddhist traditions, and the dwelling place of a celestial deity, Jainism. So that's an example of a spiritual sacred place that holds a lot of deep meaning. You could have a sacred spiritual place in your backyard or even on your porch. It's what relates to what the meaning was for you and how that you incorporated that into your life, and what it has done for you for your life. Another place is like the Western Wall in Jerusalem. It's considered the holiest site in Judaism, and the Western Wall is a remnant of the Second Temple destroyed by the Romans in 70 AD. Lots of history there. Jews from all over the world visit the Western Wall to pray and insert notes containing their prayers between the stones. So